So I texted my then Russian boyfriend the worst thing in Russian. Now what happened was he was working late, as Russian men do, and then I really missed him, and I was about A2 Russian, so I wanted to send him something nice, like, I miss you and I can't sleep without you, like, come home, baby. So I texted him and he just sent back like laughy emoji, laughy emoji, laughy emoji. I have sent this message to all of my colleagues and I was like, stop. Sorry, I was like, stop, because that's the mistake I made. But in case you didn't know, Russian has Cyrillic letters, and that's all good and well. But what I didn't know is our P, English P, is Russian. So when I wrote to him, "Не могу срать без тебя," I was not saying I can't sleep without you. I was saying something different. But if Russia broke my dignity, then Korea broke my English. Because for a long, long time, I mocked Americans. I was like, why do you guys always say like? There are other words than like in the English language. He exclaimed, he said, he asked, he provoked. You spicy words of the English language. But it wasn't like 3 months in Korea. And I was like, oh my God, something you would never say as a South African, oh my God. You would say, oh my goodness, oh my giddy aunt, but not oh my God. So I was, after 3 months, like, oh my God. And I said, I still haven't gotten this like out of my system. I also learned in Korea the Afrikaans way of saying good night is about the worst Russian swear word you can say. My manners became a problem. But I wasn't the only one who was saying all kinds of ridiculous things. My Korean students said the cutest thing. Like, James is delicious. And then on the topic for change, I was like, okay guys, tell me about change. One of them wrote, how I change my socks. Okay, cool. And then I was like, you can change your phone and fool it with an electric eel. And I was like, okay. But my best moment with my students was when one of them showed me the cute in electrocute, which is... Also, I loved how, even though I'm not blonde, all of my students who ever drew me always drew me as blonde and always shorter than my co-teacher, which is ridiculously funny because she took me here. I get what they're going for, but it was so. But just between the two of us. Blonde jokes don't exist in Korea. They don't exist in Korea because most blonde people there are German engineers. But it's also really cool to me, beyond all the language mistakes which are funny, like, I really think you're not just a different person in a different language. I think you're also a different person when you speak in a different accent. You carry some cultural associations with any kind of accent that you take on. It is very interesting to see, really. You take some person that you can think of, and that is what you do. Pretty cool that, like, when I worked in a German, the media training lady literally said, Elizabeth, if you do any kind of interaction with the media, just perfect in English, which is like, never do it in German, because my whole face went like super serious, because I have to suddenly think about all the kind of grammar, and again, German is a serious language, so my whole personality in German is a different personality, different person, because of this thing. Whatever we perceive of the target language we want to, we will adopt that in the accent and in the way we present ourselves in this language. Blonde in Africa, blonde jokes. Blonde, super intelligent engineers. Same hair, different story. Also, there are actually some really, really cool studies that I will link that like say that by word differently on different personality tests depending on what language they in. So if you want to have some fun and see how try to take a personality test but in doing different. That's it for today.